Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Laura and today I am doing my April manga haul. My sister and I kind of rediscovered a local comic book store this month and we're in April and we've been twice now, so a lot of the titles that you'll be seeing in this haul will actually be from that. Some of them are pre-orders, some of them are from Amazon, and I think that's it. Oh, and one was a giveaway, so I have actually quite a few to show you. It's a really eclectic, really strange haul. There's no rhyme or reason. You probably won't even recognize a lot of the titles, because I certainly didn't, and I was just sort of tiptoeing through the tulips at the comic book store and putting everything in my arm that I could find that was sort of unusual. So yeah, I went a little bit crazy and there's lots to show you, so I'll just get into it. The first title that I got, I actually won in a giveaway. This one came from Archangel Manga, so thank you for this. This is Wandering Sun by Shimura Takako, Volume 1. Published by Fantagraphics, so it's a really nice hardcover. This is a story about a boy who wants to be a girl and a girl who wants to be a boy, and I guess they become friends they're in 5th grade, so they're pretty young. I don't really know too much about this except for that it gets a lot of praise. And I probably will end up reading this during an upcoming readathon, because I tend to like to participate in those, so probably will save that for then, but I am looking forward to reading this. The art looks pretty nice, the publication is pretty nice, and I've heard nothing but good things about this, so it should be a good read. The next two titles I'm going to show you come from Right Stuff, so these ones are just sort of pre-orders that I had picked up. This first one is Veda Volume 2 by Clamp. I did end up reading the first volume during the Tome Topple readathon, so if you're interested in my thoughts on it, you can check that video out. The other title that I got from Right Stuff is Attack on Titan, the Anthology. This is a collection of new stories by comic creators based on Attack on Titan, so these are actually mostly American comic book artists who drew comics in the kind of Attack on Titan world, or reimagining Attack on Titan. This is a really nice, attractive hardcover. Unfortunately, my bunny also thought it was a really nice, attractive hardcover, and as you can see, has decided that she wanted to eat it, and I accidentally left it on the stairs, forgot that she was out and about, and, you know, a few minutes later, the whole corner was gone, so good times. It's an expensive book, I'm not too happy about it, haven't read it yet, hadn't really even flipped through it. Bad bunny. The next bunch of comics that I'm going to show you all come from Amazon. Essentially, I like to save manga in my for later cart, and I just like to kind of keep an eye on them, or, you know, so I don't forget what titles I'm kind of wanting to buy. And I usually will look into multiple places to pick these up, but these ones all are kind of hard to find, or they're like at the very end of being in print, and they were all last copies on Amazon, or at least Amazon CA. I kind of got a little bit nervous and just kind of pressed purchase on all of them. So the first thing that I picked up was Axe Alternative Manga. This is Volume 1, edited by Sean Michael Wilson. These are kind of experimental type comics. Hopefully nothing bad on these pages as I show them to you. And so it's actually a compilation of short stories, very different art, very different storytelling. I did end up reading one of the stories in here because I recognized the author, and so it was kind of intriguing to me. I really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to reading further into this. This style of comic writing, the style of manga, has just really been something that I've been more interested in, more enjoying lately than some of the more popular titles that I've been picking up, so I'm really glad to have this finally. I've seen this on a lot of people's shelves, so yeah, this is something that I've been wanting. The next title is The Quest for the Missing Girl by Jiro Taniguchi. As I've said before, I am collecting Jiro Taniguchi, haven't read too much of his work. This one was published by Fanfare Ponentmon. I believe it is about a girl that goes missing and about a friend of her dead father or something, who is a mountain climber, I believe. I think Jiro Taniguchi tends to like to write about mountain climbing, so he goes looking for her in the city. I believe that's what the story is about. I only barely, you know, read the synopsis, so it looks good. You know, the art is very, very nice. Definitely is Jiro Taniguchi. It's a lot of men in business suits. There you go. So it definitely looks good, and I'm interested in reading it, and this should be good. The next two are by the same author. This is Yukiko's Spinach by Frédéric Boilet. You will notice that this is actually not a Japanese author, but I do believe it is considered manga because this is a French writer, and he lived in Japan and wrote these stories in Japanese for the Japanese audience. I think this is sort of an autobiographical or semi-autobiographical work about his romance with Yukiko, or his muse, whoever that is. And I won't even flip through the pages because it is actually quite adult in its illustrations. It is definitely definitely an interesting read coming from a French artist. It doesn't have the traditional manga look, it is more alternative as well. I picked this up because, for one, I'm just really interested in manga that is created not from non-Japanese artists, because that is a very interesting thing to me, that there are creators in Japan who are creating manga. And also, this is apparently the penultimate title in a movement called Nouvelle Manga, which is kind of, I believe, taking its name from the idea that there was a bunch of French creators who were living in Japan who were writing manga, and so this is sort of a small movement that was occurring. I don't know too much about it. Please don't quote me about that. You can look it up for yourself, though. So there is Yukiko Spinach. And then the other title I picked up by Boilet is, or Boilet, or Boilet, I don't know how to pronounce his name, is from Frédéric Boilet and Ken Takahama. This is Mariko Parade. Again, it's not a title that I know anything about. The art in it is sort of like this, but again, I can't show you too many pages because there are quite adult situations that are drawn very graphically, so yeah, there is that consideration as well. It does look like an interesting read, definitely more art house. The art in it is really beautiful, but does not look like, you know, your traditional manga art style. So I'm definitely interested in looking further into this Nouvelle Manga thing. I don't know too much about it, apart from just sort of coming across the term. I did pick up another title by different artists as well that I'm waiting for in the mail that is also apparently part of this same kind of movement. So I am looking forward to kind of reading a little bit of it, finding out a little bit more about it, and maybe when I know more about it, maybe I'll talk about it on this channel if I can put my thoughts together. So yeah, anyway, this is interesting. The next title I picked up is Red Snow by Susumu Kasamata, and this is a drawn-in quarterly hardcover, and it's a really nice publication. It's kind of more of a matte finish. I think I have a few others by Drawn and Quarterly, but they're more gloss, and I really prefer the matte. I think this is sort of part of a kind of theme of Drawn and Quarterly to be picking up some gekika titles. This is a gekika work. It is a bunch of short stories, and I think that it's mostly short stories that talk about kind of like the harsh kind of country life of pre-modern Japan. Red Snow kind of indicates to me that someone's probably going to die in one of these stories during a blizzard of sorts, I assume. Maybe I'm completely wrong about that, but the illustration on the cover was enough to pull me in. The fact that it's Drawn and Quarterly, I have never been disappointed by Drawn and Quarterly title to date, and I've read a bunch of graphic novels as well outside of manga. Drawn and Quarterly just picks up great titles, so I'm really looking forward to this, and again, it was at least in Amazon CA, it said last copy, so I wanted to pick this up before it was gone. It looks like it'll be really great. And again, the art kind of looks like this, so it's more simple and definitely more of a cartoony style, but you can see kind of the more mature nature of this work, so I'm looking forward to reading this. I picked up another Tezuka title. This is Mu. It is a pretty large omnibus. I'd actually been hoping to find the hardcover for this because I think that there was a hardcover as well, but I never did find it, and this is published by Vertical, and you know how Vertical, if you kind of don't catch it when it's still in print, you have a really hard time getting a hold of it, so I decided to pick this up. It was also a better deal. I know that you can still find this on a few sites, but I suspect that there aren't going to be too much longer that you're going to be able to find this title, so definitely want to pretty much add any Tezuka titles that I can kind of locate into my collection. I ended up picking up 3 more gekika works. They're all from the same series, all from the same author. So this is Yoshihiro Tatsumi's Abandon the Old in Tokyo, The Pushman and Other Stories, and Goodbye. Again, this is another title that I was thinking about picking up the hardcover, and I ended up kind of deciding that I would go with a softcover because they were last copy, or some of them were last copy, and the price was good, so I decided to go with this. I actually have since seen the hardcovers for sale, but these are actually quite nice looking, and they're quite a bit smaller, so you know, with someone who is really scraping for some space, this is really nice. I have read Abandon the Old in Tokyo, and I have read The Pushman before, but I haven't read Goodbye. And so Yoshihiro Tatsumi, his art looks like this. He is known as essentially the inventor, or at least the person who coined the term gekika, which refers to serious pictures, and they all refer to titles that were written sort of in that post-war era where comics were being kind of created for an adult audience rather than just sort of only being for kids. So these are more serious, more adult, definitely deal with more adult topics, and yeah, I definitely really enjoyed reading these, but it's been quite a long time since I did read them, so this is a title, or, you know, Tatsumi is a person that I really think belongs in my collection and someone that I want to be reading more from, so really glad to be having these. So the next 2 titles that I picked up from Amazon are Garden and World Map Room by Yuichi Yokoyama. The reason that I picked these up is because, 1, I've never heard anyone talk about them. 2, they're from Picture Box, which has gone defunct, and I have a few titles by them, and they're brilliant titles, so I'm really excited about it. And 3, like, cover art is gorgeous. This is a completely intriguing cover design for me. Nothing else in my collection looks like this. And if you actually remove the jacket, also you reveal like a beautiful book design. So these are really, really attractively designed books. If you look at the art, it is a very alternative. It's more fine art than it is storytelling. It is definitely surreal, and it's going to be quite the experience to read this, but I'm really, really looking forward to reading this. So the next title that I picked up from Amazon is Velvet by Brubaker, Epting, and Breitweiser. Obviously not manga, but every once in a while I do like to add comics or graphic novels to my collection. I'm pretty picky about the titles that I do add. I read most of my titles from the library, and they have a pretty good collection, so yeah, unless I absolutely love something, it doesn't join my collection because I just don't have the space for it. So obviously title, I really, really loved it. You can buy it in this hardcover. That's really why I picked it up, because I realized that they had a hardcover, you know, 3-in-1 bind up, I guess. They have 3 trades that I did end up reading it in. So really happy to have this. Looking forward to reading this all in one sitting now, because I ended up reading it, you know, like with a year between each release. But I really enjoyed this. It's sort of a spy novel about retired spies and what do they do after retirement. It's about one woman who is a spy, and something has happened, and she's kind of been double-crossed. There's some secret that has come out, and so she's trying to figure out what is going on. So it's really good. It's really fast. It's pretty short, and yeah, I highly recommend it. I liked it a lot. Alright, so on to the comic book store, and pretty much everything I have showed you is about half, and then the other half is all from the comic book store. Again, a lot of the stuff, don't really know what it's about. Picked it up on a whim, because I could. The first thing that I found was Geo Breeder's Book 1, Phantom Patrol, Learning to Love the New Job, by Akihiro Ito. This is a large, kind of trade size manga from CPM Manga. So it's a pretty old title, don't know anything about it, looks pretty funny, and kind of 1980s, early 90s style. That's all I have to say about it, no idea. So then I found 4 more like really out of print titles from CPM Manga, and they're all the same title, but they're all from different series, or they're all from different series and they're different titles Anyway, it's sort of like Attack on Titan with all those like mini offshoots, or Tokyo Ghoul with all those like various different titles under Tokyo Ghoul. So it's Record of Lotus War. So I have Record of Lotus War, The Grey Witch, A Gathering of Heroes by Ryo Mizuno and Yoshihiko Ochi. This is volume 1. Then I have volume 1 of Record of Lotus War, The Lady of Ferris, this time by Ryo Mizuno and Akihiro Yamada. Then I have volume 1, this is slightly smaller as you can tell. This is Record of Lotus War, Dietlitz's Tale, Book 1, Choices, by Ryo Mizuno and Setsuko Yoneyama. And then, unfortunately, Book 4 of another series, this is Record of Lotus War, Chronicles of the Heroic Knight by Ryo Mizuno and Masato Natsumoto. So all kind of different groups working on this title. The art in it looks pretty good though, as you can see here. The art kind of varies between the series, I think, but it's pretty dark. I do have a little bit of Record of Lotus War already in my collection, but it's from another series altogether. It's actually a 4-panel comedy manga, Yonkoma. So yeah, it's just very interesting to find this kind of stuff. Add it to your collection. I'm definitely interested in picking up more, but I'm really glad that 3 of these are volume 1 so I can read them when I feel like it. The next title I picked up was Velveteen and Mandela by Jiro Matsumoto. I'm pretty sure I saw someone anyway talking about this and how they actually didn't like it, and for some reason that made me more intrigued. It is a self-contained title. It is published by Vertical, so of course that makes me a little bit more interested. It is an 18+ work, so it is quite graphic in both sense of the word, so it does have a lot of like graphic sex as well as graphic violence in it. I think it's mostly about teens who are kind of getting involved in war in some way. I haven't read this yet, but it looks really, really weird. And the art kind of looks like this, so it's a little bit different, definitely more sketchy, definitely more dramatic. Definitely not bad though in any way. So I'm definitely interested, a lot of definitelys. I'm very interested in reading this. Also, just the size of this book, it just feels really nice in the hands. Like it's just like the perfect thickness, the perfect weight. This is the perfect little book. Hopefully the story is also the perfect little story. I know it's going to be disturbing at least, which, you know, runs a fine line. So the next title that I picked up from the comic book store, very unusual find for me, is called Works by Erika Tadano, and it is a very tiny little book, a compilation of short stories. So like considering how small this is, you can imagine how short the stories are because there's quite a few in here. It is a Yuri manga, but it deals with adult romance. It's sort of just everyday slice of life type situations. I found it was pretty interesting to read. I definitely haven't experienced this kind of manga much. The artwork actually looks a lot like Tomoko Taniguchi, although the themes are very, very different. But yeah, it's kind of an interesting little find, and I'd never heard of this title. Never heard of this publisher either, which is Annie Lesbocon, which is weird, and I don't know if they're still in business. I don't know if they've published more than this title, and I don't know how my comic book store comes to have all of these weird old titles. So this one was published in 2008, but the actual was written in 1998, so it's, you know, it's a pretty old title and kind of an interesting little book. I bought some more titles that were published by Vertical. This is The Drops of God by Tadashi Agi and Shu Okimoto. This is a foodie manga, I think, about wine, or sommeliers. I'm not entirely sure what it's about, but I was interested in it originally, but I thought it was actually quite a bit bigger, and when I saw it at the comic book store, it's so small. Like, it's a nice size manga, and it, again, this is another one that just like feels really good in your hands. Like, it's just like the right size and weight and perfect little title. So, and I know that these are starting to get harder to find, so I wanted to pick this up while it was available and for such a good price. Like, it was a really good price for me. So yeah, so I ended up picking up Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, and the last title, which is called New World. I don't know if there's more of this actually, but the art is quite good in it. Here's some wine, here's some characters. and the books themselves are quite nice, so yeah, I'm looking forward to giving this a go at some point. But I did feel like when I was going to the comic book store that I was kind of like rescuing titles from the shelves because, you know, I'm not seeing them online anymore. So definitely will be visiting my local comic book store a lot in the near future. The next title that I bought is actually a full series, and you'll probably already know what it is if you watched my Dewey's 24-hour vlog and wrap-up readathon video thing. This is Magic Touch by Izumi Tsubaki. This is the same author as Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun, and I also have that in my collection, and just comparing the two, like, I don't see it as the same author as all. It might be because Monthly Girls is another four-panel comedy manga, and this is more just like standard shoujo romance. This one it's a really weird premise. It's about school students, and they're part of a club, which just happens to be the massage club. So they give other students massages, and they learn about like pressure points and all of those good things. And so it's about this one girl who keeps seeing the back of a boy on the train, and she is just like desperate to massage this back because it's so tense, and then she finds out that he goes to her school and tries to convince him that she should be allowed to massage him, which of course he doesn't want. But then, you know, things progress and she does get to massage him and they fall in love. I don't think that's too spoilery because it happens really quick, and it is shoujo manga, so, you know, it does follow a pretty simple pattern. It is have a bit of comedy in it, like Nozaki-kun also is a comedy title. This does have a little bit of comedy in it, but it is more, I think, about the romance. So yeah, this is a really weird concept, and you have to suspend a lot of disbelief in order to read this, but it is fun. The relationship is fun. It's just like a light, fun title so far. I've only read a couple of volumes, but I will continue reading it. So I ended up picking up Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, Volume 4, Volume 5, Volume 6, Volume 7, Volume 8, and Volume 9. And Volume 9 says happy ending on the end, which is so inappropriate for a story about massage and high school students. So there you go. And then the last title that I picked up is Topi GP by Kosuke Fujishima, Volume 1. This is the same author as Oh My Goddess, You're Under Arrest, and Paradise Residence, which I just finished reading for the 24-hour readathon that I participated in. I really like Kosuke Fujishima. He definitely has sort of more of a quiet, slow style, but at the same time he often draws like racing, usually like motorcycles, and he's so good at drawing them. Like, he really shines in his drawing of racing. So this one is actually, I believe, a sports manga about a student who is on a motorcycle team, or road racing. So I'm really interested in picking this up. I'm really interested in reading this one. I already really like this author, and I think that this is sort of the area where he really truly shines, so I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping that there's going to be some different characters from this, because Fujishima tends to redraw the same character types and the same character designs over and over in his manga, or at least the couple that I have read, so I'm hoping for something kind of new from him, but at the same time keeping his like hand in this race track, which I think he's just like so good at. So I'm really looking forward to reading this. So that's it for my haul for April. I already have almost the same amount for my haul for May, and it's only the 5th today, and we are planning on going to a few sales during the month, so that one is going to be enormous. You can look forward to seeing that in June, probably, if not before. Anyway, if you have read any of these titles, would love to hear what you think about them, especially some of the older titles like Record of Lotus War. I would love to hear if you have read those titles, because of course I don't hear about those titles at all anymore, and it would be nice to hear some experience with those things. Anyway, thank you so much for watching my video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.